Very good evening to you and welcome to our primetime news. I'm Sandru Ferdinando.
And I'm Jitendra Gunasena. Now let's take a look at the headlines.
The president states that he would fulfill the responsibility in redeeming the people from poverty. Investigations to commence over charges that the police assaulted students when trying to disperse the protest yesterday. 38 Udagammana villages to be constructed in the next 2 months. Sri Lanka tagged as partly free in a global survey on internet freedom conducted on 65 countries. Molan Council elects first Green Mayor, Samantha Ratnam.
President Maithripala Sirisena says that during his tenure he would fulfill the responsibility in redeeming the people from poverty. The president made this statement during an event in Urubokka, Matara.
4,001 land permits were presented to people from the Pascoe Divisional Secretariat area and the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena. The event was held in line with the national program to present 25,000 such permits across the island.
නව රජයේ විදියට මූලික වශයෙන්ම මේ රටෙන් දුප්පත්කම තුරන් කිරීමේ කාර්යයේදී
As the new government, we need to eradicate poverty from the country. In order to undertake that task, we need to formulate a new policy for lands. We see the need to increase production per the needs of the economy and also resolve the housing issue in the country. Therefore, as the new government, we have commenced the task of building a successful economy where the people can live happily together with freedom and democracy.
මේ කාර්යයට අපි නව රජයේ විදියට කටයුතු ආරම්භ කරලා තිබෙනවා.
The president also declared open the building for the Pascoe Divisional Secretariat. Later, the president also inspected the Pascoe Vocational Training Centre and looked into the academic activities of the students.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa arrived at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into serious acts of fraud and corruption today as well.
Statements are being recorded over the non-payment of Rs 200 million owed to the independent television network for political advertisements during the 2015 presidential election campaign. The former president arrived at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry once again today over the matter. Recording of evidence today was halted as the head of audits at the independent television network, who arrived at the commission today as well, made contradictory statements to what he made yesterday. Secretary to the Commission, Lassell De Silva, said that the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into serious acts of fraud and corruption will record evidence once again on the 19th and 20th of November.
Based on what is taking place and the answers that are provided, I think the ITN will have to make payments to us. There are issues where the calculations were made twice on the same matter. Every president, prime minister and candidate issues messages for Christmas. They have made calculations for the Christmas message as well.
On to more local news. Leader of the JVP parliamentarian Anur Kumar Dissanayake expressed the following views at a meeting held in Anuradhapura last evening.
What is the ad agency that provided ITN with the advertisement? What sort of agreement was reached with that agency? There is no meaning in summoning Mahinda Rajapaksa for such simple matters. All he did was act in that advertisement. Is there any meaning to taking the actor before court? Therefore, who needs to be questioned? ITN and the agency. Who owns the agency called Media Factory? It belongs to Yoshita. There you have it. And you do not need to look around for that. When the father's advertisements are on air, the son takes the commission. That agency only obtains commissions.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has called for a report from the Law and Order Minister Tilak Marapana following an inquiry into the incidents that took place when dispersing university students who were protesting opposite the Ministry of Higher Education. A communique by the ministry says that measures would be taken after the Inspector General Police submits a report into the incident. The Students' Collective to Protect the Higher National Diploma in Accountancy protested opposite the Ministry of Higher Education yesterday, demanding an equal recognition as provided to the Bachelor of Commerce. Thereafter, police fired tear gas and water cannons to disperse the protesters. 39 university students, including 2 monks, were arrested over the incident and were released on personal bail of 100,000 rupees each after they were produced before the Colombo Chief Magistrate Gihan Pelapitiya. The Chief Magistrate ordered for them to appear in court once again on the 8th of January. The Inter-University Students' Federation filed a complaint at the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka over yesterday's incident. Chairman of the commission, Deepi Gudugama, said that an investigation was launched into the incident prior to the complaint that was filed by the students. Demonstrations were held across several universities in the island condemning the attack on yesterday's protest. Our correspondents reported that roads in several cities, including Colombo, were blocked as a result of these demonstrations.
Samasta 6% of the GDP was allocated for education. The Mahapolo Scholarship Fund was raised by 5,000 rupees. Loan facilities were provided to the youth who enter technical education institutions. The students were attacked in an inhumane manner yesterday. We ask, what is the meaning of this? This is the government of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. After they used the roguish police and army to attack us, the government spokesperson, who is the police media spokesperson, says that minimum force was used.
If the police is carrying out arbitrary activities, the entire government needs to be held accountable. The relief provided to Vimal Veeravansa, Sajin Devas Kunawardhan and KP is not provided to the people.
A transformation took place on the 8th of January. The transformation aspired to see dissentient. Yesterday we saw how the present administration responds to certain issues. Who gave the police the freedom to act in this manner?
මේ විසම්මුතින් යට කරන්න කවුද පොලිසියට මේ ආකාරයේ නිදහසක් ලබා දුන්නේ?
The Minister of Higher Education must look into the subjects of higher education and road development. It appears that the rulers do not want to listen to the peaceful voices of the government. First, appoint a minister who will attend to this matter. Do not mix the emotions of the students with tar and sand and cement.
In a statement, Minister of University Education Lakshman Kiryala says that there is no reason for students to go on marches. He pointed out that it was agreed to provide solutions to the demands of the students during a meeting with the HNDA representatives and officials from the Ministry of Higher Education yesterday. No prior notification was made to the police over the march. This hindered the flow of traffic. They attempted to move towards the Ministry of Higher Education down Ward Place. We made attempts to communicate with them and facilitate a discussion with the officials from the Ministry of Higher Education. At that time, the protesters broke through the barriers and attempted to move forward. That is when we took measures to disperse the protesters. We fired tear gas when cones, batons and stones were hurled at us. They dispersed and obstructed traffic at 3 different locations. We chased after them. Yesterday a person with blood on his head was shown. That was a collision with a bus and someone had stepped on that girl.
There is footage that shows a police officer beating the student.
A woman was not attacked. What took place was dispersing the persons who protested.
Would the police officers be investigated?
If a wrong has been committed, the senior DIG and other senior officers would take action on the matter. I cannot say that all the officers operated according to protocol. If any officer had exceeded his limits and acted in such a manner, an inquiry will take place. We have to respond in the same manner in which the electronic and print media had portrayed the incident. If not, there is no need for me to come here.
You're watching News First. On to your local news. Minister of Housing and Construction, Sajid Premadasa, says that 38 Udagammana villages will be constructed and vested with the public in the next 2 months.
The Udagammana, Adarsha Attam Nivasa, Udakala Gammana concepts of late President Ranasinghe Premadasa paved a new path to seek solutions to the housing issue in the country. Even the United Nations organization named a World Habitat Day after the housing policies of late Ranasinghe Premadasa. The target housing plan that began in 1979 for 100,000 houses progressed towards 1.5 million houses in 1993. Minister of Housing and Construction Sajid Premadasa said that he will accept the challenge of reviving the housing development program that died along with the demise of President Ranasinghe Premadasa.
This year, covering many districts in the island, we hope to create 38 Udagammana villages with 25 houses in each Udagammana, and in this short span, declare them open. We hope to begin today and hand over the villages to the public on the 31st of December. We hope to begin a program to construct 500,000 middle-class houses next year.
The government provides land up to 20 purchases under this program, including of water facilities, electricity and roads. The loan given for the construction of houses under a number of phases is payable within a time span of 10 years. The selection of individuals to receive these houses will be done through the divisional secretariats by the District Housing Committee and the Rural Housing Committee.
Plots of land will be given to families who do not own them. For every house, we will provide a housing loan worth 200,000 rupees. We are initiating this program to include the contribution of the public and that of the benefactor as well. The benefactor will receive a land of 20 purchases, and with time a program will be formulated to hand over the complete ownership of the land to the benefactor. We hope to reserve 62,000 rupees amounting to 6.25 billion rupees per village accordingly.
Central Bank Governor Arjuna Mahendran says that the tax policy in the country will have to be amended in order to overcome the economic challenges in the future. The governor made this statement at an event in Colombo yesterday.
The 27th anniversary convention of the Association of Professional Bankers was held under the auspices of Arjuna Mahendran, the governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka.
But on the economic side, we may have fallen into a trap in the last 5 to 7 years of perhaps becoming exceedingly dependent on the foreign savings that we've borrowed to try and fund our development. So you can see that a lot of concrete has been poured over the last 5 to 7 years, principally funded by pretty expensive borrowings from foreign countries and from foreign markets, which is all very well, provided that that infrastructure then becomes productive and gives us the sorts of rates of return which will enable us to pay that back. Sadly, looking at the numbers, that doesn't seem to be the case. Sri Lanka as a country, despite our high levels of literacy, our high achievements, our high per capita income, which is close to $4,000 per capita per annum, still taxes its people like a sub-Saharan country. We only managed to get government revenue of about 10% of GDP, which frankly is quite pathetic. I don't mind saying so in public. This country will make it or break it simply on the issue of whether it can tax its people sufficiently in an equitable manner so that everybody bears the burden of development into the future on a fair basis. And that's going to be the challenge. Our tax systems are extremely regressive. The poor get taxed more than the rich. That's a fact.
The governor of the central bank also elaborated on the losses incurred by state-owned enterprises.
As all of you know, we have the two government-run banks funding very large state enterprises, whether it's the airline, the power company, the electricity company, or the petroleum company, all of which are run on significant lending by the government banks. And this then means that the government banks have to afford, or rather offer, fairly generous terms to these institutions. As a consequence, they tend to make some losses in bad years, and to recover those losses, they have to widen the spread that they charge between their deposit and their lending rates. And at the end of the day, that intermediation cost is really what makes our profits as an industry. But the point is, if those inefficiencies are allowed to persist in the two large government banks, it means that the private banks are getting a free ride on these inefficiencies, and as a consequence the whole of society suffers because we are paying too much for our loans relative to the cost of funds, whether it's within or without the country. And that really, again, is an inefficiency that we have to innovate our way out of.
Sri Lanka has been tagged as partly free in a global survey on internet freedom conducted on 65 countries. Freedom on the Net 2015, released by Freedom House, a non-profit organization promoting democracy and free expression globally, categorized Sri Lanka as partly free with a score of 47 on a 1 to 100 scale, 100 being the worst. In 2015, Sri Lanka was tagged partly free with a score of 58.
The report on the country highlighted that the defeat of Mahinda Rajapaksa in the 2015 presidential election and the progressive politics of his successor Maithripala Sirisena have strengthened internet freedom in the island nation. The report adds that both President Maithripala Sirisena and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe promised to run a government that stays clear of blocking websites, intimidating journalists and other draconian practices that characterized the previous government's relationship with online and traditional media, including the curtailment of editorial freedom. Freedom House says that over the last year there has been a considerable decline in rights violations, including violence, prosecutions and intimidation. According to the report, internet penetration in Sri Lanka continues to increase every year due to affordable internet rates provided by internet service providers. The most free among the 65 countries assessed was Iceland, followed by Estonia, Canada, Germany, Australia, the United States and Japan.
Now let's take a look at some news in brief.
A number of lowlands in the Trincomalee district were inundated as a result of heavy rains. A correspondent said that the Kinya, Manvene and Kurunjankarni areas were underwater. 2 of the 28 spill gates of the Rajangani reservoir were opened today. The Pommeveli area in the Jaffna district was flooded as a result of the continuous rain. The Naula area of the Dambulla-Matale main road was flooded as a result of heavy showers. These were visuals captured by a Newsfirst.lk reporter. The Department of Meteorology says that the atmospheric disturbance, which is located to the west of Sri Lanka, is expected to move away from the island. It adds that showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the northern, north-central, eastern, southern and Ubon provinces. 2 more suspects connected to the murder of karate champion Vasanta Zoiza were produced before Anuradhapura Chief Magistrate Umesh Shanaka Kalansurya today. Court ordered that one of the suspects be remanded until the 9th of November, while the other suspect was ordered to be interrogated further based on a detention order. A total of 24 suspects have been arrested thus far over the murder. The 16-year-old student from Bulat Sinhala, who was receiving treatment at the intensive care unit of the Colombo National Hospital after a wooden stick pierced his neck, succumbed to his injuries today. The student met with this tragedy when he fell off a tree on the 27th of this month. The demarcation process was discussed at a meeting between the Elections Commissioner and the district returning officers. Attention had been drawn towards assisting the committee appointed by the subject minister to inquire into any grievances that may arise pertaining to the Gazette on demarcation as well as the functions of the Elections Commission.
A media briefing was convened today on the new program that will be launched on Sirsa TV, aimed at building a student generation armed with knowledge, skills and determination.
The Pentathlon program is to commence on the 15th of November and will air on every Sunday at 6 p.m. Each school is permitted to enter a group of 5 students for this program. Only students from grade 8, 9 and 10 can participate in this program. The program is to be aired in Tamil and English on Shakti TV and MTV respectively.
We have to give the responsibility to our children to create a new social system where people don't fight over a mere pound of flesh. Therefore, this Pentathlon program was launched with the intent of inculcating those values and abilities into the hearts of our children.
We created stars. Through Pentathlon, we hope to create an opportunity where stars will not focus on simply sustaining themselves, but will bring together more stars.
In my mind, Pentathlon is just a dream. It's a dream, it originated from a dream to create bigger dream in the minds of Sri Lankan students. Mankind has progressed with particularly 3 things: quest for knowledge, skills and strong determination. In Pentathlon we have combined all 3, and these 3 are combined to infuse greater energy, greater aspiration for Sri Lankan students to think bigger, dream higher. More than 5,000 schools were invited to participate in this, because this is supported by and approved by the Ministry of Education as the best process to select best school annually. Students are the future, and as I said, this program is just not a program, it's a mission. It's a mission for creating a stronger, progressive, confident and self-reliant Sri Lanka through its students.
A Sri Lankan-born woman has been elected the first Greens mayor in Moreland, Australia.
South Ward Councillor Samantha Ratnam won the mayoral vote 6-5 over Labour candidate, bringing an end to the ALP's stronghold on the mayorship. Ratnam had been unsuccessful in the previous 2 mayoral votes but secured the vote of independent councillor Helen Davidson, who had backed Labour candidates in previous mayoral votes. Justin Trudeau was elected Prime Minister at the recently concluded parliamentary election in Canada, and Gary Anandasangari contested from the Liberal Party, which is led by Trudeau, and won a seat in Parliament. A Sri Lankan citizen who was working in the Canadian Police Service was appointed as the Deputy Inspector General of Police. Nishanthan Terayappa, who joined the Canadian Police Force as a police constable in the Halton area, was gradually promoted to the rank of the Deputy Inspector General due to his outstanding performance. Nishanthan Terayappa is the grandson of Alfred Terayappa, a former mayor of Jaffna. Niranjan Devaditya was a former member of the British House of Commons as well as the European Parliament. Devaditya served in the House of Commons between 1992 and 1997.